Hello everyone, very good morning and welcome to the first session of SQL Script AMDP and CDS Mastery course. In this first session, we are going to learn about what is code push down techniques, what are the different code push down techniques. Then we will be learning about the introduction of SQL Script, important data types which are there in the SQL script. There are two types of statements in SQL script basically used. Those are declarative statement and imperative statement. We are going to see in a little more detail, and in the coming days we are going to see several examples. We will see why AMDP is the best way to consume the SQL script, and then we will see one example for the AMDP how we can write. And then in the subsequent classes, we are going to deep dive into the SQL script, because without SQL script, we won't be able to write even a single line of code in the AMDP. So all the aspect of the SQL script we are going to learn in detail in the coming classes. Today, a kind of overview we are going to see so that you will be having better idea and you will be able to relate in the further classes. Before going ahead, let me show you or guide you about the server detail, how you are going to have the server detail. You have to get the server yourself, and there are different types of server in the market. One server you will generally get 2,500 rupees for 3 months. This is good one. In this server, you will be having the RDP connection only. I'll be sharing you the detail of the server provider. You can connect and give my reference, and he will be providing you in this price. If you go directly, he may charge a little higher. So just check by giving my reference. And before using the server, ask him for 1 hour or 2 hours just to check whether you are able to connect remotely from your computer well or not, because sometimes you may face issue because of the different broadband IP or configuration setting. So because I'm facing with this server issue with the RDP connection, so what I have done, I have taken little costlier server which is costing 2,500 per month. In this, the benefit is that I can install locally. Means I'm having the provision to install local Eclipse over here. You can see that I have installed locally. I have installed locally SAP logon, and here itself I'm having S4 2021 and all those things. So there is no problem, right? And here Eclipse itself, it is there for my practicing. So there is no RDP issue over here at all, because I'm not using RDP locally itself. I'm using because I was facing the issue, but it is not going to be there for everyone. So first I will suggest you to check this one, or like if you are comfortable with 22,500 rupees per month, this also is very good server. Very good in the sense like you will not be able to face more downtime. It will be up, and good server. Basically this is a really good server, but a little costly, or you can say you know very costly, right? Per month this much we'll have to pay. This detail also I'll be sharing. So there are two options you can opt, or if you have server already in your company or organization, and if you can use that one for your practice, nothing can be better than that. Okay, so this is the third option, like free, if you have your own from the company in your company. So based upon your requirement, your availability, decide which one you have to use. Fine. Let's go and try to understand why we are talking about the code push down techniques. So in order to understand the code push down technique, it's very important to understand the R3 architecture. So in R3 architecture, you have the SAP GUI, you have application server, and you have the database server, right? Everyone knows about this fact that this is your database server. This database can be your Oracle, can be your Informix, can be DB2, can be DB6, MaxDB, right? Sybase DB, or it can be your Hana DB, right? Because Hana is also a DB. So these are the different database server can happen at the DB layer. This is application server. This application server can be your ECC or business suite or S4, okay, or S4. So this application server can be any one of these three. This is GUI is known as client, application server is known as the application server, and DB is known as the database server. 1, 2, 3. That's why 3-tier architecture it is known as, or R3 architecture it is known as. At client level, you can have UI5 or Fury also, UI5 or Fury or WebDyn Pro. So you can have these three different tool by which you can access the data from the application server, and you can read the data, you can consume the data, right? Fine. So this is R3 architecture. Now we are trying to understand the code push down techniques, why it is important to learn in current scenario, the code push down techniques. All these DB, if you see here, this DB like Oracle, Informix, DB2, DB6, Max, Sybase, these you can understand like the old DB, conventional DB. So this DB can be understood as a conventional DB, old DB. And when we were using the old DB, with the old DB, problem was that it was not installed in the RAM. It was not having the column storage way of storing the data. It is not having the multi-core processor to process the data, right? That means it was not that much powerful as currently we have the Hana DB. Hana DB is very powerful. In the basic Abap on Hana training, we have seen the power of Hana, right? We have seen its architecture, how powerful it is, and why it is so popular, right? But the thing is that if something is powerful, you have to utilize, right? Then only you can get the maximum performance out of it. So in order to utilize, in order to use optimally or in maximum way or in most way, what you have to do, you have to push the code down at the DB layer so that you can utilize the power of HANA. Let's go back in old days when we used to write the code like this. So just assume that at this DB layer, you have non HANA DB, that means conventional DB. So in those scenario, how we write the code? We write the code, we fetch the data from DB, right? We used to fetch the data, select the data, and at application server, we perform the business logic. Okay. And then after performing the business logic, the aggregated data, the final data, we used to pass to the client layer and we used to see, right? This is what we used to do. So there were no aggregation, like we were not supposed to use. However, it was supporting in old DB also, like aggregate function, max, mean, average, count, right? Sum. So these are the aggregate function. These we were not supposed to use in the conventional DB. Why? Because system, your DB slows down, you know, the DB architecture, the hardware, the software was not that much powerful, which can use the aggregate function effectively and give you the data back quickly. But in HANA, you know, with the help of this aggregate function, you can achieve the result faster, not faster, even fastest result you can, achieve. And your HANA is made for aggregation. So earlier, like we were fetching the data in case of non-HANA DB and adding the data over here by putting the loop on the data, and inside the loop we were summing the data together at the application server and sending back to, here at GUI, and we were able to see the data. Now you don't have to, aggregate the data at the application server. You can perform the aggregation at the DB layer only when you have the HANA DB. I'm talking about when you have the HANA DB. When you don't have the HANA DB, again you have to follow the best practices which we were following earlier. But if you are there on the HANA DB, and if you are on S4 HANA, 100% you will be there on HANA DB only, because without HANA, S4 HANA is not possible, right? If you are there on business suite, there is a possibility that you can be there on HANA or you can't be there on HANA, So you have to identify if you are or your organization is there on business suite on HANA. That means DB you have to identify. How you will be identifying the DB? What you will have to do, you have to log in into the system and go here, click on this system, click on this status, and here you will be able to see HDB. So if you are able to see here HDB, that means your database system is HANA DB. And the aggregate function which I'm talking about, max, mean, average, count, sum, all these things, you can write it without any second thought. So now when you are going to use the aggregate function in your select query, where it's going to get executed? Directly it's going to get executed at the DB layer. And when we are supposed to use this one? When you have the HANA DB. If you don't have the HANA DB, then you are not supposed to use the aggregate function. Your performance will be bad. Okay. So one way to push the code down using the aggregate function, right? Another way that you can use, there are many inbuilt function which is supported by new OpenSQL, okay? Like concatenate function, like case and when statement, you know. Then there are substring function, left, right, upper, lower. There are so many function. We have discussed those in the basic Abap on HANA stuff already. So new OpenSQL is one of the way by which you can directly push the code down at the DB layer. Okay. And you can utilize the power of HANA DB. So what are the different code push down technique we are having? One is the new OpenSQL, where you have so many functionality, including max means aggregate function. This just we have discussed concatenate, case and when, substring function. There are hundreds of inbuilt function is there, and you can use those function in your new OpenSQL. This is one code push down technique, new OpenSQL, very powerful code push down technique. Okay. Another technique which you have is the SQL script. Okay. Another technique which you have is the SQL script. What is this SQL script? We are going to discuss about this in more detail in today's session. SQL script is the language of the DB, means at the DB layer itself, at the HANA layer itself, you can write the code and perform the business logic, and you can utilize the power of HANA. So SQL script is one of means SQL script is the language of the database which is used to write the complex business logic, and to process the data and send back the data to application server, and again from here to here at the UI layer. So second code push down technique is SQL script. Now when you write the SQL script over here, you have the container where you can write the SQL script code. There are different types of container. One container is known as a stored procedure. Another container is known as user defined function. Third container is known as anonymous function. And the fourth container which we use to write the code at application server layer, that is known as AMDP, which is the most popular one because there are many advantages of AMDP. That's why it is so popular. We are going to see some of the benefits of AMDP, but at this moment, you just understand that AMDP is one of the most popular way of writing the SQL script code at the DB layer. You are going to write the code here at application server, but that code is going to get executed at the DB layer. So third option, the very powerful, very popular AMDP. Full form is Abap Managed Database Procedure. So this is Abap way of consuming the SQL script from the application server. There are so many advantages basically when you write the SQL script code at the application server layer. Though it's not going to get executed at application server, it is going to get executed at HANA DB only, you know, but you can write the code over here. I will show you one example today. Okay. Third one is the AMDP we have seen. So if you Think carefully. AMDP is nothing but just a way how you can consume the SQL script. So in order to become master in AMDP, you must have to learn well the SQL script. Okay, very important. SQL script is very important. Not only for AMDP, for native HANA application development also, you will require to learn the SQL script, with the help of which you can create the native stored procedure, and that procedure you can consume in your XSJS. There are so many use cases. Basically, the SQL script is important. Okay. Once you learn, once you master in SQL script, you will be master in AMDP also, because AMDP is nothing but SQL script only. If you are master here, then you can be master over here, otherwise not possible. Then the fourth technique which you have, the most popular, you can say, this is the CDS, the core data services. Core data services. This is the future of Abap. This is the future of SAP. Everywhere. This is omnipresence. You know, this is universal. Why I'm stressing so much on the CDS? Because CDS can be used at multiple places. You can use inside your report. You can use one CDS inside another CDS. With the help of CDS, directly you can create the OData services. With the help of CDS, you can create the Fury element list report, master detail page, overview page, AVP analytical view page. With a CDS, you can go and write the RESTful application program, RAP program. You can write there the root entity is CDS only. In BTP, business technology platform, there also you have the CDS concept. So there also you can use, right? So CDS is going to be the future of this SAP programming paradigm. So you must have to learn the CDS. And why? Because this is one of the most powerful code push down techniques. And if you are good in new OpenSQL or OpenSQL, it's very easy to learn the CDS. However, there are many concepts over there that you have to be mastered in, then only you can become a good CDS developer. But yes, like if you know the OpenSQL, it's will be little easy to learn the CDS. So these are the four important code push down techniques we have. Apart from that, you have one more code push down technique that is known as the information model. In information model, you have attribute view, you have analytical view, you have calculation view. Do you know this attribute view and analytical view has been obsolete? You know, now calculation view is there. Means earlier also it was there, now also it is there. Okay. Calculation view is used widely. Calculation view itself you can use as an attribute view. Calculation view itself you can use as an analytical view. Means calculation view will be have like all these two view. Earlier it was so not required. Basically you can use calculation view itself, and there are many advantages with this calculation view. That's why this calculation view is still in picture. Okay. So in this course, we are going to discuss mostly about this SQL script, AMDP, and CDS. So let's go and see the first code push down technique. But before going ahead, I will quickly take you through one code push down technique using the new OpenSQL, and I will let you know the power of code push down technique in terms of performance. And every time we are going to use one scenario that is known as OIA scenario based upon the EPM model, Enterprise Procurement Model. I will be letting you know that one in detail. But this code which is written first without doing the code push down, that means using the normal SQL, using the conventional SQL, you know, and see here, if you see that there is no aggregate function, there is no aggregate function, no mean, max, count, etc. You will be able to see count, say it's commented, right? There is no active mean, max or something like that. There is no aggregate function I'm using, and it's giving some output for the OIA scenario. I will be letting you know in detail about this EPM model and OIA scenario, but here you just understand that it's giving some output, right? Give some value, let's suppose 300 over here, and some amount, maybe 10 lakh, and just execute this. Once again you execute, it's giving some output. At this moment you just understand this much only. Okay, just focus over here. In order to execute this output, it's taking this much time, 1,38,777 microseconds. Okay, same program using the code push down technique, using the new OpenSQL, if you are going to write, then how much it's going to take, that we will see. Let's go to SE38 once again, and using the code push down, this is the second program using the code push down, where I have used the count, I have used the sum function, these all are the aggregate function. Just by using this count and sum function, you can see that there are a lot of improvement in performance. There are a lot of improvement in performance. See, just run it once or twice so that you will be able to get the correct uh, idea. Okay, so here 35,260 microseconds it's taking, and the earlier one, if you go, it's 98,865. So if you have the large amount of data, then these differences will be like very much. So at this moment it's around something 3 times, right? This is taking 3 times less time. So code push down technique is taking around 1/3 time of the original time over here, whatever. And if you have large amount of data, this will be like lot of differences you will be able to see, 20 times, 30 times, 50 times, like that kind of difference you will be able to see by using just the aggregate function. So you can understand that how powerful the code push down technique in current scenario is required to be useful. You must have to learn, in fact, if you want to become a better developer, and if you want to get the performance, better performance out of your Hana DB. So this is using the new OpenSQL, and the same thing we are going to achieve by learning the SQL script, AMDP, and CDS. That's why I've shown you this example. We'll be discussing about this example. It's uh, complete detail what this example, what is this EPM, what is this OIS scenario. One dedicated class will be required. So once we'll be having the basic understanding of SQL script codes, once we learn all the constructs of this scripting language, then we will go and develop the same report using the SQL script, same report using the AMDP, same report using the CDS, and we will try to find out how much performance gain we are getting. Okay, so This is what you have the different code push down techniques. Let's go and start with the new uh, SQL script. So SQL script. What is this SQL script? Okay. In order to understand the SQL script, you should know that language is of two types. Okay. One is the programming language and another is the scripting language. What is this programming language? In this programming language, you can have like C, C++, Java, .NET, you know, Abap. This can be your programming language. Whenever you will be having the programming language, you need a compiler basically. However, Java requires interpreter, right? But generally you require compiler to compile the language. And when it is getting compiled, it create a middle product. So for example, like when you are going to execute, whenever you are going to compile C or C++, you will be having the .exe file, right? In case of C or C++, you will be having the intermediate product called .exe. Whenever you have the Java, in this case, what you have, the byte code gets generated and this gets run by JVM. And that's why Java is platform independent, right? Similarly, for ABAP, also like when you activate, it generates the bytecode, right? So intermediate products gets, uh, you know, intermediate product gets generated after activation or after compilation when you have the programming language. But in case of a scripting language, there is no intermediate product. So here, I will just type it over here, intermediate product is generated. And each programming language is independent, means it is itself is a language. It does not require another language, it is itself is a language. So it's independent. But on the other hand, a scripting language like a parasite, it is embedded inside the main language. For example, if you know about the Excel, Excel is developed in C or C++, but they are macro, like VB macro, where you write some code for the purpose of automation in the Excel, right? In Microsoft Excel. So there you have the macro. That is a scripting language that is embedded inside the Excel, C or C++ language. So a scripting language is the embedded language. Embedded language. It's like a parasite. It use the another language as a shelter. So embedded language, it does not have any intermediate product. Intermediate product, it does not have, doesn't have any intermediate product. And example is VB macro, you can see. And generally it requires interpreter. It will be require interpreter to compile the language, to interpret the language. So these are some differences are there between programming language and a scripting language. SQL script is a scripting language. What is SQL script? SQL script is a scripting language. It's going to fall under the second category, this category. Let's go and see now more detail about the SQL script. In case of any question, feel free to ask. You can write here in the comment box and I will be replying. And if you want me to unmute, you can just raise your hand and I will be unmuting you and you can speak. Okay. So SQL script. Let's try to define the SQL script. SQL script is the collection of extension of a structured query language. So you can define like this. It is a collection of extensions of what? A structured query language. Whenever we tell about the structured query language, that means DDL, data definition language, DML, data manipulation language, DQL, data query language, DCL, data control language. What is the DDL, DML, DQL, DCL? DDL means whenever you are going to create the definition of table or definition of view. So for example, like create table, create view, such kind of instruction is known as DDL. So create table or update table definition. We are talking about the definition of the table. So create table, update, create or alter, we can say alter table. So this comes under the DTL. DML, data manipulation language. Once your table is created, inside that, how you can insert the data, that way, like insert, update, delete, modify, all this comes under insert, update, delete, modify. All this comes under the DML, data manipulation language. Then DQL. Once you insert the data into the table, there should be some way by which you can fetch the data. So to fetch the data, that means selection. We mostly use the select query, right? So select query comes under the DQL, and DQL is a part of SQL. Okay. So DQL is one part of SQL. Okay. So select query, select single, select a star, select up to one rows, right? Different variation of select we have. DCL, data control language. This is just for granting and revoking the authorization. See, when you have the data in the table, it is not necessary that everyone should be able to see the data. There should be some security on the data, right? And how you can manage that security with the help of DCL. So these are the four aspects of any SQL, and though in those inbuilt aspect, you are going to have the extended functionality with the help of SQL script. Okay. So SQL script is a collection of extensions of SQL. Very important. Very important. Remember this. Okay. So this is one point under the definition of SQL script. Let's add some another more point and try to understand a little more about the extension part. Whenever we tell about the extensions of SQL, what do you understand from extension? Extensions here, the first meaning means data extension. What is this data extension? See, data extension means with the help of SQL script, you can define the table type. In Abap also we can define the table type, right? In the same way, with the help of SQL script also you can define the table type. You can operate on larger amount of data, operate on larger amount of data in optimized way parallelly. Okay. In optimized way parallelly, right? So this is the meaning of data extension. Extension means something extended, something extra, right? Very simple. Something extra. Now The second point under the extension is the functional extension. That means with the help of SQL script, you can achieve the extended business logic. You can achieve the complex business logic with the help of functional extension. With the help of SQL script, you can achieve the complex business logic. See, this is the programming language, right? And of course, with the help of programming language, we can achieve the complex business logic, right? And the third one is the procedural extension. Procedural extension. What is this procedural extension? See, the meaning of procedural extension means this scripting language is having the loop, it is having the conditional construct to write the powerful procedure. Procedure means what? A step-by-step instruction, correct? Procedure means a step-by-step instruction. So in order to write the step-by-step instructions, you have the extended construct like loop, conditional construct like if else, you have the break statement like uh, continue, break, right? Different kind of programming constructs are given, and that constitutes into procedural extension, you know and that's how, like, the three different types of extension. Whenever we talk about the collection of extensions, means we are talking about these three types of extensions. Okay, so hope you are able to understand this part. In case any doubt, feel free to ask. Okay, so i'm I'm just explaining this first part. It is a collection of extensions of SQL. Okay, so whenever someone is asking that what is the SQL script, you have to tell it is a collection of extension of SQL. And whenever extensions comes into picture, that means data extension, functional extension, and procedural extension, right? These three term will come into picture. Another property of SQL script, or another component of SQL script, you can tell that SQL script is used to write the data intensive logic, right? So in the definition, you can also add it is used to write the data intensive logic. How it is possible? Because data extension, right? It is having the data extension. That means you can define the table type, you can operate or larger amount of data in optimized way parallelly, right? So it is used to write the data intensive logic. What is the meaning of data intensive? See, whenever something like intensive comes into picture, that means huge. Intensive means huge amount of data. Data intensive means huge amount of data. So if you have to process the huge amount of data, SQL script is the where the DB layer, with the help of which you can operate on a large amount of data parallelly. That's the power of SQL script. Okay, so it is used to write the data intensive logic. Data intensive logic means processing huge amount of data in optimized way parallel. This is the meaning of data intensive logic. It is also used to write the performance intensive, performance intensive logic. Why we are talking about performance intensive, right? Everything which we are learning over here for the sake of improving the performance, right? We are writing the code at the DB layer. So how to utilize the power of DB maximum way, right? How to utilize the power of DB in maximum way? That's where the performance intensive logic comes into picture. Okay. So SQL scripts enable the developer to write the performance intensive logic. That means you can get huge performance, not simple performance. You can get huge performance with the help of SQL script. The only condition is you should have the good understanding of SQL script. Then only it is possible. Otherwise, instead of writing the performance intensive logic, you can write the performance bad logic. It is not always that like whatever the code you are going to write in the SQL script, all the code will be automatically optimized, or it's going to give you the best performance. It does not work in that way. You should have the good understanding of SQL script, and with that understanding you have to write the code so that you can get the maximum performance out of that. I'll be sharing one SQL script related document on our LMS. Under the course, you will be able to download from there, or you can simply go and Google it, that SQL script reference document. You can download and you can start you can start learning from there, or you can refer as a reference. So that will help you to go more deeper inside the SQL script. However, I'm also going to cover with best of my ability all the possible concept of the SQL script, so that you will be able to write the code and get the maximum performance from the Hana DB. Fine. So this is about the definition part. Now let's go to the second part of the SQL script. How parallelization, how parallelization works in Hana DB using SQL script. Okay. So this let's understand a little bit because it's an important topic. So for example, over here, let's suppose you have some code over here. I'm writing a SQL script code, just a dummy code over here. Select Matner from Mara. This is your query one. Then another code, IT underscore. This is how actually we write the SQL script. You fetch the data from this table and put into internal table, right? So I'm writing the SQL script code. IT underscore Mara, select works, and one more we can have Matner works from Marcy, where Matner in what? Select Matner from IT underscore Mara. So try to understand what I'm writing the code. Okay. Then IT underscore purchase order we are going to write. Select EBELN from EKPO, where Matner in, select Matner from this. So see, I'm writing this subquery. This is known as subquery, query inside query. Okay. This is Q3. And then you have one more IT underscore Mardi, where you have select Matner works LGORT from Mardi, where works in, select works from IT underscore Marcy. So here you tell me, which query is going to run in parallel and which one is not going to run in, you know, uh, parallel. So very first query will come into picture Q1, right? The very first query will come into picture, which is Q1. So Q1 will be first executed. After Q1, if you see that the query number Q2 is dependent on Q1. So the Q2, so the Q2 query, which is here, it is going to get execute after the execution of Q1 only, right? So first Q1 will be executed, then Q2 will be executed. But if you see the Q3 query, Q3 is again dependent on Q1 only, right? So this Q3 is going to get execute after Q1. But one thing here you can observe that Q2 and Q3 can run parallelly. That's the beauty of, SQL script. Like it will not wait that first this is going to get executed and then this will be executed, right? In Abap, generally, this is what we are going to have in Abap, right? First, this will be executed, Q2 will be executed, and once after that is completed, then Q3 will be executed. But here, it is not the case. Okay, one processor will be executing this query, another processor at the same time will be executing this query and combining the data together if it is required. Okay, but after completion of first one only, because Q2, here you can see that in subquery we are fetching the data from the IT underscore Mara. In Q3 we are fetching the data from IT underscore Mara first, because IT underscore Marcy and IT underscore PO is having the dependency on IT underscore Mara. So after execution of first query, second and third can run simultaneously. In fact, it's going to run simultaneously if you have this much code in your SQL script code. Okay. There are some rules. SQL script does not always process the code parallelly. There are some rules. It can come out from the parallel mode also. Those rules also will be able to, we are going to see, but now you have the Q4. So Q4 is having the dependency on IT underscore Marcy. That means on IT underscore Marcy. That means on query 2. So after execution of this query 2, this means after completion of this query 2, your Q4 is going to get execute. So this is how your processing diagram of the SQL script is going to be. Okay. Now, there are some rules that rule we will try to understand. But before understanding that rule, you should know that SQL script consists of two types of a statement. How many types of a statement? Two types of a statement. Remember, SQL script consists of two types of a statement. Anyone? Do you know what are those? One is declarative and another is imperative. One is declarative and the second one is imperative. One is the declarative, second one is imperative. What is declarative? What is imperative? SQL script consists of two types of statement, declarative and imperative. What is this? Let's try to understand, because it's important to understand if you want to write effective SQL script code. See, declarative means just you are giving the instruction, you are not bothering how at the machine layer or how at minute layer it's going to work. For example, like in Abap, when you are going to call a function module, that is a declarative logic. Okay. because you are not going to bother how that function module is going to get execute inside. You are just bothering about the output of the function module, and that output you are going to use in your program. Yes or no? Did you understand? Right? Just type yes if you understood this part. Declarative means just you are calling and getting the output. You are not bothering about a step by step procedure. Okay. So example for this, good example for this is calling FM in Abap program. Select query, select query. When you fetch the data from the table, for example, Mara, Marcy, or any table, you are not going to bother how it's going to fetch the data from the database. You are interested in data, so select some data from the Mara table, collect into internal table, right? So select query is also a declarative statement because you are not bothering about how it's going to work at the minute level. It's giving you the data. So FM is not present in your, uh, SQL script, but you have the procedure, like one procedure can call the another procedure, right? Inside a procedure, you can call the user defined function, right? So those kind of calling, so we can write like this: calling procedure or UDF. Such kind of like select query, calling procedure or UDF, which is ultimately going to give you the result, right? Those will come under the declarative logic. Okay. Now, what is this imperative logic? Imperative means see a step by step instruction. Imperative means what? Command. Imperative. What is the meaning of imperative? Right? In grammar, have you heard about the imperative statement? Right? Command. Imperative means command. Means a step by step instruction. How it is possible? With the help of a if else statement. If else, right? If this is true, then do this. If that is not true, then go into else part. So such kind of if else statement, control break statement, break or continue kind of a statement, comes under the imperative statement. Do means loop kind of a statement, like do loop, for loop. Here you have the for loop, here you have the while loop, so step by means for each iteration, right? You are giving the instruction that iterate through the records, right? So loop, if else, this kind of statements comes under the imperative. That means a step by step command. So let me write it over here in summary way, like a step by step command. That is imperative statement. And here also you are sending the instruction. See, select is also a kind of instruction only, right? Calling a FM is also a kind of instruction, but here you are not doing a step by step how it's doing internally, how it's fetching the data. You are not going to bother it about, so here you are getting the final data. Here you are getting the final data, right? Here, yeah, there is a possibility that after declarative statement you can use if else and all, right? So so parallelism in Hana SQL script works with declarative statement only. Remember, like if you have in your program only the declarative statement, like in your SQL script code, if you have the code like this, it will be automatically like, the third and second is going to be there in the parallel processing mode. Second and third is going to be there in the parallel processing mode. Okay, that's the beauty of this SQL script. And mostly you would have seen that in your current organization where the complex landscape is there, and if someone have written the AMDP, l- such kind of only the code there, you will not be able to see if else, simply the select query. Simply select query at the DB layer also improves the performance. Why? Because their parallelism can be achieved. All right. So that's the reason that instead of writing the select query at the application server layer, like if you write the select query using the SQL script, you can achieve the parallelism, right? These two query can be executed at the same time because your HANA is not a simple DB, that is very powerful DB with a multi-core processor installed in RAM. That's why it is known as in-memory DB, right? Fine. So you got some idea about this declarative and imperative statement. Now let's quickly write it over here, that rules for HANA when it come out from the parallel mode. So rules when it will be executed in parallel mode. So when you use the what? Declarative statement. Simple rule. Only declarative statement should be. Okay. Then only it's going to execute in the parallel mode. As soon as you will introduce the imperative statement, that will come out from the parallelization. Okay. So rules when it will be coming out from parallel mode. The first, if you are going to use any DML or DDL, create or create table or alter table kind of command, or insert, update, modify kind of command, if you're going to use, it will come out. Imperative logic. Imperative logic. Just we discussed what is imperative, if else loop kind of thing, if you are going to put, then if you are going to, like, simply if you see here, you can see that I'm selecting the data and putting into the internal table, right? If you simply select the data like this and you don't put anywhere in the internal table, then also it will not work in the parallel mode. You must have to select the data and put into some internal table. Okay. So if selecting the data and not putting into any internal table. So here this internal table is known as temporary table, but because we are from the Abap background, I'm using this term internal table. There is no terminology called internal table, temporary table is there. So whenever temporary table, that means you can connect with your internal table of Abap. But this internal table and temporary table is not exactly same, okay, but almost same. So whenever I tell internal table in SQL script, you have to understand this temporary table, which is this one. Don't worry, we are going to see each and everything in very much detail. This is just a beginning. Okay. So in the fourth point, we can write it like whenever you are going to use any scalar variable. What is this scalar variable? There are two types of variable in SQL script. One is this table variable. See, this is your table, this is your table, this is your table. In order to store the single data, like in Abap, if you have to declare one variable to store a single age or single numeric value, how you declare? Data LV age type I, right? Data LV num type I, right? So single variable which will hold the single value, that is known as the scalar variable. So if you are going to use by chance anyway in your procedure or in your container that scalar variable, your it will come out from, parallel mode. So when you are going to use the DML or DDL, when you are going to use the imperative logic, when you are not using the temporary table to assign the data, and when you are going to use the scalar variable, you are going to come out from the parallel mode. So these things you have to take care of. Okay. This is what we have when it's going to come out from the parallel mode. Now let's go and see about the different data types which is used in SQL script. So SQL script and data type. The first one is a scalar data type. Just we have seen, right? To store the single variable. Then the table type, same as in Abap. Okay, table type, this is same as in Abap. And the third one is the array. Array is third data type. And this is very powerful concept, this array. Like if you want to be master in parallel processing in SQL script, you should understand well this concept of array. Okay. So scalar data type, table type, and array. There are three. Scalar data type, just a single value. This is to store the single value. To store single value. Table type means to store multiple records. To store single or multiple records. Single records or multiple records. And array, what is the array? Sequential collection of homogeneous data type, right? Array, if you remember, like in your C or C++ during your graduation, what was the definition of array? Same definition here also holds good. Sequential collection of records of same data type, homogeneous data type, same data type. In array, if you have all the member, if one member is integer, another will be also integer, third will be also integer. If one member is character, then second member is also character, third member is also character. So like that, we'll be looking into that. Just let's see the overview at this moment, and we are going to explore all these things in very much in detail. Okay, fine. So SQL script, these are having the three types of like data types. This is one way. And inbuilt data type, let's see the SQL script inbuilt data type. SQL script inbuilt data type, the one which just discussed. What is this? This is user defined data type. Okay, this is user defined data type. So user defined data type is possible only when you have the inbuilt data type. What are those inbuilt data type? Let's quickly try to note it down over here. Under the numeric data type, you have tiny int, just to store very small, very small integer. Tiny int, then more than this you will be having the small int, then more than this you will be having the int means integer. That means the amount of value is getting increased. Tiny int will hold a smaller amount, a small will in a small int will hold more than this, integer will hold more than a small int, and then the big int, it can store large amount of data. Exactly, I will let you know from the documentation. I don't remember the exact value. That value is there in that documentation. Okay, we will see that and we will put it over here. Decimal data type. Under the decimal data type, you have the decimal and double. There are two decimal data type. Then the character data type, very frequently used, or you can say like mostly this character data type is going to use varchar, varchar, and alpha numeric. Okay, see, varchar is like ASCII, varchar means Unicode. That means we are supposed to use the varchar. It supports all the characters of this world. Means whatever the language you have in this world, whether it's America or Brazil or India or Pakistan or Afghanistan, anywhere, all the languages of the worlds are supported by this varchar. Varchar supports only the ASCII. Okay, so that's why don't use this, don't have the practice of using varchar, rather you use varchar. Both is same. The benefit with this varchar, like you will not get into trouble anytime with varchar. So use varchar and alphanumeric, like if you have the number and alphabets together, then we can have the alphanumeric data type. Then we have the date and time. Okay, date and time data type. So time stamp is the, so time stamp, that means YYY, MMDDHH, then MMSS. This is the time stamp, and another is a date time. So this is two data type over here, and then you have one binary type. In this you have var binary, and another to store the large object like document, PDF, image, such kind of object. Like if you have to store, you have the CLOB, character large object, BLOB, binary large object, NLOB, numeric large object. Okay, so these are the different data types we are having. Most of these data type we are going to see with the help of example. Now the very important point we are coming over here, how to practice this SQL script code. Okay, the very important question is coming over here, how we are going to practice this SQL script code with the help of container. Okay, this SQL script code we are going to write in the container. There are three types of container: anonymous, stored procedure, UDF. Tomorrow we are going to start from that. And another, the fourth one is the AMDP, which we are going to, see now. Quickly, I will write one AMDP program and I will let you know how you can write it over there, the SQL script code. So just log in into the, okay. And one more thing, like, what are the tool you require in order to write the SQL script code? Tools to where you can practice. So see, SQL script you can write inside the container, right? And that container can be written in either HANA Studio or, you know, uh, or in Eclipse. Like in Eclipse, you have the different add-ons. Okay, with the help of that, you can write over there the code. Like SAP GUI is not the correct stuff. You require either HANA Studio or you require what? Eclipse, or you require HANA Web IDE. Okay, means it's the online tool, HANA Web IDE. So these are the different tools which is required to have in order to write the SQL script code. Okay, even for writing the AMDP also, like if you want to write the AMDP, either you require ADT on Eclipse or you require HANA Studio. any one of these is going to be required. Then only you will be able to write the AMDP code. HANA Web IDE will not support for AMDP. Either you should have ADT on Eclipse or HANA Studio. So I have the Eclipse over here. ADT on Eclipse is recommended. HANA Studio is getting obsolete. Okay. So let's go and quickly create one AMDP. So you should remember that AMDP is nothing but it's a global class. What is AMDP? Just type here in the comment box, global class, GC. Just type here in the comment box. AMDP is nothing but a global class. Just remember this one, okay? So GCL AMDP GCL. This is the first class, so I'm going to write first class, something like that. And we will decide to have some, prefix so that we will be able to identify our uh, objects which we are developing. Fine. So for that purpose, let's quickly do one thing. I will create one package and tr. In that package and tr, we are going to uh, store all our object. So /n scat, I'm going to create one package. Come here, create one package. Z SQL Script AMDP and CDS ZSAC. Okay, I will be using ZSAC. This is the package name. Click on this. Oh, already someone has created. We have to use some other name. SQL Script AMDP and so SQL AMDP and CDS. Click on this execute. Click on this yes button. SQL Script AMDP and CDS mastery course. Click on this OK, and we will create our own request quickly over here. SQL Script AMDP and CDS mastery course, and save it over here, and we got created one request. So this same request we are going to use for our purpose. This package is now got created. Copy this one. Package does not require to be activated. Okay, just you create and that's it. Now come here, and when we are going to create one class, so MDP is nothing but your global class. So I'm going to create one class. So ZCL underscore SQL script AMDP and CDS. So this will be our prefix. I'm going to use SSC. ZCL, because this is class, we have to use like this, underscore SSC underscore class 1 underscore AMDP. Or instead of writing class 1, we can write like this, SSC 1 underscore AMDP. Okay. So AMDP demo in class 1. It's very simple. I will quickly show you. It will not take more time. And after showing this, we will stop the today's session. Okay. So see, this is our class created. Create public. That means this is your, you can instantiate globally. The instance of this class can be created globally, right? Public means this is the public class. Final means it cannot be inherited, and create public means this is the global one. Public section, protected and private, 3 section gets automatically generated by this ADT. And here under the public, what you will have to do in order to make any global class as a AMDP class, you have to add one interface, and that interface name is if underscore amdp underscore marker underscore hdb. Okay, this interface helps you to identify a class is a what, amdp class. So remember, this is very very important interview question also, very very important interview question. Type everyone over here in this comment box, if underscore amdp underscore marker underscore hdb. If you don't give, then your class will not become amdp class. If you want to make your class as a amdp class, you must have to give this interface name if underscore amdp underscore marker underscore hdb, right? Very simple method. I'm going to define one static method. Okay, so class methods over here, get some data, get mat info. So mostly I'm going to use the Mara table, Marcy table, like that, the real-time table, so that you will be able to relate more. Okay, so get mat info, and it's this this is going to just, we are interested in sending maybe some importing parameter also. So importing uh value, it's always passed by value. Okay, am underscore mtart, type mtart, exporting value et underscore mat info, type tt underscore mat info, full stop. This you have to define. So let's quickly define it. Types begin of ts underscore basic abap. Okay, this is basic abap. Matner I want to get. So we have this structure ready. Now we will quickly define the types, that means table type. So tt underscore mat underscore info, type table of ts underscore mat underscore info. So this table type is now done. And see, this method is not so some points over here you should be careful. If you want to increase the font size, control plus plus, okay, your font size will be increased. See, here's some point what you have to understand. This will be always passed by value, means you must have to give this value addition. If you don't give, it will start throwing you error. Okay, so you must have to give this value addition so that it will become passed by value. Why pass by value? Because inside this class method, the code which you are going to execute, that will be executed at the DB layer, right? And if some code is going to get executed at the DB layer, or if some code, like if you do you remember that in RFC function module, you don't give the reference variable, right? In the parameter, you must have to give always pass by value in any RFC function module. Why? Because RFC function module can be called from the different environment. And if there are two different environment, how you will be able to address the memory difference? Not possible, na? Right? Not possible. Getting my point? So here the code which you are going to write inside this class method, you know, this is the empty method. At this moment it is not defined. We are going to implement this method. So when you are going to implement this method and when you are going to write the code over there, that code will be executed at the DB layer, not at the application server, So DB layer, they will be having the different memory reference, and here at this ABAP application server, it is having its own memory reference. You will not be able to match them, right? It will not be possible for the system to handle this scenario, and that why pass by reference is not supported. Pass by value. So everywhere the value addition, here also you'll have to give the value addition. If you don't give, it will not allow. So remember, always pass by value. Pass by value. Type PBV, that means pass by value. AMDP supports only pass by value. Type PBV, and now I'm going to implement this method. See, in order to implement the method, you can put the cursor over here and it will tell that add implementation for this get mat info. So you will quickly get one template over here and you don't have to go and manually type. That's the benefit. So just select this and you can see this template got came over here. But this method is not a simple method. This method is the AMDP method. So you have to make this method as an AMDP method, and for that purpose you have to write by database procedure for HDB language SQL script options read only. You know, this addition you have to give. Okay, options read only is optional only. You can remove this. Okay, for HDB language this for HDB language SQL script, this you will have to keep it. Okay, SQL script, this procedure is only for the SQL script. So this addition you must have to give by database procedure for HDB language SQL script, right? This addition you must have to give, and now you can write the code over here. So this matner mtart mtl, this is what we are getting. Select matner mtart mtl mbrsh from Mara. So this I'm writing the SQL script code. You may find this as a similar to your new OpenSQL, but basically this is means syntax is same at this moment over here. As soon as when we will progress further, we'll be able to see the differences into the syntax. Okay. So select matner mtart, but for the normal select query, you can see that it looks like simple, right? Select matner mtart mtl mbrsh from Mara table, where mtart equals to, we are getting im underscore mtart. So just copy this, and now the difference, one difference you will be able to see. Whenever we use any variable as a reference, we use colon over here, and full stop we don't use at last, we use semicolon. Okay, so see, you got some difference, right? And when we are fetching the data, you have to store somewhere. So in this exporting parameter, we are just putting it over here. Means here you cannot write like, select this data and put into internal table. Like if if you're thinking that you can write like this, it happens only in OpenSQL. Okay, it happens only in OpenSQL. Here it will start giving you error. See, it's not supporting, right? It's not supporting. Basically it will not support. See here, it's going into red. So into and all these things is the power of what? OpenSQL only. So here you come, and now this is fine. One more thing what you have to understand, see here it's giving some error for Mara. Means whatever the table you want to use inside this method and end method, okay, you have to mention it over here under using clause. So just give using over here, and this table you want to use inside this method and end method. So you can see that now that error is gone. Why? Because this Mara I'm using it over here. You have to tell in advance to the system that I'm using the Mara table. Whatever table you are going to use, you have to mention it over here. For example, if you're going to use Marcy, in this inside this method you have to mention it over here. So this is the rule for the AMDP. Okay, MDP method. So only Mara I'm using, I'm going to just use the Mara, and that's it. See here, there is no problem, it looks fine. Check the syntax and click on this activate button. Got activated, and now you can execute this one stand alone also, like or if you want to create one program quickly, let's go and create the program, and from there we can call it. So program, next Z, uh, SQL script AMDP and CDS. This is class number 1 only, program. Okay, program to consume, program to consume AMDP, means AMDP method I'm going to call over here. Finish it. And in this program, this class is having this method. I'm simply going to call it get mat info p underscore mtot. I can pass and see here I can use the it mat info. I can use the inline declaration, right? That's the benefit of using the method, right? You can use the inline declaration. In function module you will not be able to use. And let's quickly define one parameters p underscore mtot, type mtot, and that's it. Just save this, check the syntax and click on this activate button. Okay, got activated, and press F8. And ROH, I want to fetch the data for ROH. Oh, we have to display also, right? So CL underscore demo underscore display data, and this one we can put it. So from this AMDP method, data is going to come and getting displayed over here. Activated, and come here, give this ROH over here, execute, and you will be able to see here we got in fraction of second this result, right? So this is what you have. You can debug also. There are so many things to discuss. This is just the basic stuff about the AMDP. We will be deep diving into the AMDP once we get mastered in the SQL script. See, so you have to learn the SQL script so that you can write the code inside this method and end method. This is just a basic select query, right? You should know how to write if, you should know how to write the for loop, break, continue, map merge, right? There are hundreds of different constructs which, like array, you have to learn, right? You have to um, understand mapping. Okay, all those things we are going to learn in the coming classes. Okay, it will take around 10 to 12 class to learn this SQL script, and then we will go into the CDS. So today let's stop it over here. I will be giving you one assignment also, and that you will be able to see inside your LMS. So I will be adding over here. Hope you are able to see, here this the video here means you can go and you can access the videos through the course. So you have to go under the my courses, and there this course you have already registered. If you have not registered, you have to register into this course, then only will be able to access the recorded content, the you know this PPT and all these things. I will be putting it over here, and from here you can access. Okay, so hope it is fine for you. And now let's stop it over here. And Karuna is asking like method should be static only. No, you can have the instance method also. Okay, let me quickly show you here. Just make it instance method, save this one and activate it. but now here you will have to, your program will start giving you the error, right? Because this is now your instance method, right? So how to create one instance using the new and just, okay. Mm, I'm creating one instance, right? Okay, let me do like this. Data obj equals to full stop, and this obj we can put it over here. So save it and check this, activate this one. So using the instance method also, you can see that you can get the same. So this time HALB I'm going to do and press F8. See, you got the data quickly. And like if you want to debug, it's simple also to debug. Just double click over here and you will be able to debug the AMDP. Okay. So debugging is not a big task, but apart from that, there are other things as well that we need to understand in AMDP. Debugging is very simple. Just you double click over here. Only the thing that you have to use either HANA Studio or ADT on Eclipse. HANA Studio is getting obsolete, so start using ADT on Eclipse and have the practice of ADT on Eclipse. However, both look same, but still ADT on Eclipse is having the more functionality than HANA Studio. Okay. So you can see that, and now like if we're going to execute, it will call that, it will go into the debugger mode. Okay, so let me close this session and I will call, and you will be able to see that it will call the debugger. So just run this. See here, it's asking to open the debugger. See, now you can debug it, right? So F5 or F6 you can use. So just, no, F5 you can't use, F6 you can use. Okay, so F6, and here you can double click and you will be able to see the data over here. So like that, simple to debug. Let's stop it here. If you have any other question, anything, any other question? Yes, yeah, arrow, I was missing that arrow, that's why it was giving the error. True, Danny, thank you. Yes, of course I'm going to share the code. Yes, any other question if you have, you can unmute also, and you can speak like if you want to speak. Okay, you can unmute and you can speak. Yeah, please tell me. Yes, you can unmute and you can speak.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
Pankaj, this is Madhu.
Yeah, Madhu.
Uh,
Yeah. Mhm.
Sorry, I could not join the first 5-10 minutes. I think you were talking about the system access.
Right, right.
Will you send the details if you can? I can
Yes, I
get
will be
the.
sending you the detail. You have the two options over there, like if you want to go for any of the option, that's completely fine.
Mhm.
uh, Here only there will be some price differences, but uh, and here, like in this option, you have only the remote desktop connection.
Mm,
So before getting this one, please check like in your system it's working fine or not. If it is not
mm.
working fine, then you will have to go for this option. Okay, so this will be for
Oh,
per month and this will be for 3 months. I will be sharing both
oh,
the detail. Okay,
yeah, yeah. And what was the other thing? Sorry.
no problem.
Yeah. One question I have, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So when you go for AMDP versus CDS view.
Yeah, it will take like 10 to
Okay,
uh,
that's fine.
12
That's fine.
class. Yeah, because first we are
Okay,
going to learn in detail this SQL script and AMDP, and
okay,
then we will be going into the CDS, and there we will be comparing like YCDS. Okay.
okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Thank
you're welcome. Fine. Anyone else?
One question, Pankaj. Out of
Mhm.
these two, AMDP and CDS, which one is the best one? I mean, performance point of view.
See, depends, like if you have to deal with large amount of data, of course AMDP is the best way. Okay, because you can achieve the parallelization over here. In CDS you won't be able to parallelize you know up to this much extent as you can do it over here. But CDS is like for an Abap, like V for Abap, like CDS is the best way to develop, because mostly like if you are from the BA or BW background, like if you have to deal with large amount of data, or like if you are in the project where RAR, one module in FICO RAR, right? uh, where like lot of data need to be processed, there you can use the MDP. Means whenever the large amount of data is going to come and you are thinking you have to achieve the parallelization, you can go for
AMDP.
AMDP. Yes, the CDS, like if you have to use at multiple places, and then means performance is not a constraint. Means from performance point of view, with respect to large amount of data, AMDP is king. Means a stored procedure is king. Okay, SQL
Okay.
script is king. Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome, welcome.
I think, and also with respect to the SQL statement itself, right? If it is very complex, CDS may not be easier to handle, and you need to manipulate a lot of data, like moving into comparing tables or something. I think AMDP is the better one.
Right, right.
That's the
Yeah,
other
for
thing I
complex
see.
business logic, yes.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
We can go for so we are going to discuss the comparative study of this SQL script and CDS. Then it will become more clear. Okay, but this is overall, like when if you have huge amount of data, this AMDP. See, in embedded analytics, like if you talk about there also, we have the huge amount of data, but there we use the CDS. So so it depends, like scenario to scenario, and where like you are going to use which place. Like in embedded analytics, CDS is fine because embedded analytics engine is optimized for CDS. So we'll see all those things, but just understand at this moment that AMDP uh, and CDS both are the code push down techniques, and both are the recommended techniques if we want to leverage the power of HANA. And more about this we'll be discussing in our uh, future classes, coming classes, and try to understand more about that. Fine. Yeah, anything else if you want to discuss?
Hi Pankaj, Abdul this side. Can you
Mhm.
please share those code as well, where you have shown us between the comparison between the Open SQL and non-Open SQL in SAP GUI? So we,
Where I have shown you?
I mean, earlier you have shown in SAP GUI. I
Ha, ha,
mean,
ha. Okay, okay, I will
it and
share
not
there. I will put there in
one
the first
simple
slide.
report. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yeah, using the without using the without code push down and using the code push down, right?
exactly. Just
Yes.
wanted to debug and I mean check all the
Yeah, yeah.
things.
So only the difference, like in one of the program, you will be having the aggregate function used, like count and sum, and in
Hmm.
other program you will not be. Uh, it's not there. Like the count and sum function is not there. So there, where the count and sum function is not present, performance will be slower. You know, and where the count and sum function is there, the performance will be faster. Only the thing is that you should have the HANA DB. Okay.
Okay, okay, fine,
Yeah.
fine, fine. Just share them. We'll
Sure.
check
Sure. Fine.
in
Fine.
debug mode.
Good. Fine, then thank you for attending the session. Bye bye. Take care. Let's meet tomorrow at the same time, 7 a.m.
Thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you.